Well. Welcome to Halfback Dynasty. We have decided to roll out Sunday episodes moving forward. My name is Brendan. We are joined today with our co-host Tyler, of course. And this new Sunday episode, we're calling it Halfback Good Morning Dynasty. We love to see it. We hope you love to see it. Tyler, how the heck you feeling, my man?
Feeling great as usual, Brendan. I'm super excited. We're talking for the first time on a day that, man, we actually have football. So pretty exciting that in a few short hours here, you're either going to be feeling good with your playoff push, or by halftime you're just going to be like everybody else. Man, my game's over already. My team's not doing anything.
Hey, at least we can still enjoy the comfort of watching football on Sunday. So make sure you get all your family stuff out of the way early on so you can just sit yourself on the couch and do absolutely nothing but watch your team tear it up. So, Tyler, I'm stoked to be here and to do these Sunday episodes. We wanted to kind of switch up some content to shorten our weekly episodes, but also move content to these Sunday episodes. So what you listeners will find in these episodes is an inactive and active list, a stardom, sit-em, just some last-minute news about certain players. That way you can go ahead and adjust your roster accordingly. So without further ado, Tyler, why don't we have you jump right in? What do you got for us today?
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, for the 1 p.m. Eastern, the earlier games, I'm just going to run through some actives or some inactives, some questionables, and just kind of give you maybe some different options here. So
Cool.
we'll just kind of rip through them. We got Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback of Carolina, had the knee issue last week. He's questionable, but definitely leaning towards playing. Doesn't even look like he's a game time decision, so you should be good to plug him into your lineup, but definitely take a look, a few minutes before kickoff, make sure he doesn't tweak it during warm-ups or anything. That can happen. So heads up on Bridgewater, but he should be good. Obviously, CMC has already been ruled out, which makes Mike Davis an attractive plug and play in a flex, or even as your starting RB. He struggled a little bit of late, but hey, he's got the volume, and sometimes that's all they need. Obviously, Joe Mixon's out. He actually went to IR yesterday, so he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks.
Tough.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about his day-to-day foot injury anymore. But good news for Giovanni Bernard owners. Obviously, he's a good plug in. Should help you with your playoff push here. Matthew Stafford's questionable for the morning game. He's expected to play. Sounds like he practiced well. He's got the thumb issue. Definitely a risky start because, I'm just going to roll them all together here. DeAndre Swift is out. Danny Amendola is out. And Kenny Golladay is out. So you're looking at, Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson maybe having some extra touches here. But Marvin Jones Jr. should be, the guy catching most of the passes, trending way up. Obviously, Hawkinson is going to get some extra looks. But Detroit's a little beat up. And, I heard a story about Stafford's thumb. That ligament is pretty tore up. So we'll see how he plays. Kenny Stills is questionable with a back issue. No, not a ton of info here. I think he's going to go, but hopefully you're not rolling Kenny Stills anyways, but a little bit of heads up on him.
You'd be in trouble regardless if you
Yeah, you just take the 0, I guess, but Gardner Minshew, the stash, is a little questionable. Sounds like a game time decision. Reports are they're probably going to roll Jay Gluten, so I'd look elsewhere there. Laviska Shenault Jr. is already out, so Keelan Cole Sr. should see a little bit of an uptick, but again, their passing offense is a little risky, so maybe look elsewhere. Sticking with the Jags, James O'Shaughnessy is out, which means Tyler Eifert should get all the tight end looks. Hopefully you're not relying on O'Shaughnessy either, but Damon Harris, running back for the New England Patriots, is questionable. Should play. The only bad news here is New England activated Sonny Michel off IR 2 days ago, which probably means they're thinking about at least bringing him in, which we'll see how that goes. Damon Harris has looked really, really solid, so hopefully he keeps trending up. Couple other New England players, N'Keal Harry, questionable. Hopefully you're not looking at him anyways. He should play, but he didn't even see a target last week healthy. So be a little
That's your
careful
boy
there.
too. Come on, man.
Hey man, like I've said in past episodes, you got to give rookies 3 years. He's in year 2 and it's looking bad, but year 3 is his year, man. That's what I'm saying. So tight end Ryan Izzo questionable. Again, not a guy that you're probably looking at playing anyways, but he should play. Josh Hill, tight end for New Orleans, is out. Obviously, Jared Cook will handle tight end duties as usual. Adam Humphries, wide out for Tennessee, out with a concussion. Obviously, you know who's going to get the majority of looks there. It's Brown and Davis, but Khalif Raymond might see a little bit of the uptick with Humphries missing a game here. Dontrell Inman is questionable with a hamstring, likely to play, but Steve Sims Jr. for Washington might see a little bit of an uptick. Isaiah Wright, questionable with an illness. Again, hopefully you're not rolling him. And then before I turn it over to Brendan here, I'm just going to rip through the later games as well. The 4 p.m. Eastern kickoffs. Drew Lock is questionable for Denver quarterback, but sounds like he's going to play. He practiced all week. Tight end for Denver, Noah Fant, also rib issues. Practiced all week, should go. Alan Lazard, pretty interesting here as a game time decision. Nice to see him coming back. He was really tearing it up before he went down with that injury. I would probably let him get up to speed. I don't think I would start him anyways, but in a bind, hey, man, he plays with Rodgers. Roll him if you have to, but definitely double check him because he may or may not actually suit up today. Darius Shepard also for Green Bay, questionable. Not a ton to see there. Hopefully you're not playing him. Aquanimius St. Brown might get an uptick if he ends up not going, but not a safe play either. Jack Doyle, questionable today, tight end for the Colts with concussion. Obviously, Mo Alley Cox and him are both decent options week to week, so I don't think you'd do much differently there. Tyrod Taylor, still questionable. Obviously, he's not playing. Herbert's their guy, so I wouldn't worry about that too much.
That's awful. He lost his starting job because the trainer punctured his lung, something he couldn't even control.
That's tough, man, because Tyrod Taylor is actually a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
Super awesome personality on
Great
Hard
guy.
Knocks. Yeah, he seemed like a great guy, super serious, just comes to work. You know, I really like Tyrod Taylor. But, yeah, I don't think he's getting his job back anytime soon. But a couple more guys. Irv Smith Jr. is questionable. Really no info here. He may or may not play. You need to double check that. Irv's been coming on a little bit the last 3-4 weeks here. So definitely a plug and play option if you're, I mean, everybody's void of tight end outside of Kittle and Kelsey. So you could do worse there. And then doubtful is Sam Darnold. Even in Superflex, I'm not sure you're starting Sam Darnold. So I wouldn't be concerned there either. But there's kind of your quick list. So double check your lineup, see what maybe some guys get some upticks, but make sure you're checking those game time decisions today.
Yeah, excellent, Tyler. Thank you for sharing. It's very important that with everybody we did just name, whether they're inactive or active, keep in mind, as Tyler is suggesting here, that other players from these teams will either get a slight boost in value or a decrease in terms of production. So really good stuff. Before I move into the stardom sit-ums, real quick, I want to mention that Khalif Raymond is actually very intriguing if you play in a kick return league. He actually fields, I think, the kicks and the punts for the Titans. And, if you're doing 0.1 point per yard, he'll get 50 yards of return action on the game. So that's like an automatic 5 points. So keep that in mind. Secondly, Tyler, we spoke about Lazard at the very first episode. I hope he comes back and balls out. MVS has shown he can have big weeks with Rodgers. So hopefully Lazard comes back in, seals up that number 2 role, and then we start seeing him putting up 10 to 15 points on the weekly. And then my only question to you, Tyler, is who do you think is going to win now, the Lions or the Panthers?
I would say probably the Panthers. That would be my guess. It'd be interesting if Bridgewater ends up sitting and you get, hopefully PJ Walker versus a thumbless Matt Stafford. I mean, that'd be pretty fun. Obviously, it's good to see that Bridgewater's knee is okay. He had that horrific injury a few years ago, but pending health. I mean, again, I'm glad Bridgewater's okay, but man, I've been really wanting to see PJ Walker get a shot in the NFL. The dude was out of control in the XFL. It would be fun to see what he could do on an NFL field.
Yeah, PJ Walker sighting would be pretty epic. I remember this offseason, a guy in one of my leagues dropped like 70% of his waiver wire dollars on him.
Yeah,
It'd be worth it.
he had some crazy hype, man. And even in our one QB, I've fought it all year adding him, but there's just no point to do it. But man, he's
Yeah,
you watch his highlights at Temple too. That guy was pretty talented. So
cool. We'll keep an eye out on him. Hopefully he takes a couple snaps.
right.
Tyler, if you're ready, start 'em, sit 'ems. You ready?
Oh man, let's hear it.
Cool. All right. So we've got one player from each position to start, one player from each position to sit. Again, these are all suggestions. Take them with a grain of salt. These are our opinions. Obviously, you will evaluate your players differently than us. But here we go. First quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, to start versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville ranks the 30th against QBs. This is a no-brainer here. Steelers are just too good of a team. They're going to continue to look to be undefeated. They shredded Cincinnati and Dallas in the past, who are better against quarterbacks. The past two games combined, Roethlisberger's stat line is really good, actually. 56 completions on 88 attempts, 639 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 0 picks. So, I mean, he's going to elevate to 10 touchdowns in 3 games, in my opinion. I'm chalking up he's going to have 3 tutties in the air. QB to check out to sit, Ryan Tannehill, quarterback for the Tennessee Titans versus Baltimore. They've been on a tough streak of games recently. They played Chicago, Indianapolis, and now Baltimore. All 3 are pretty tough defenses. I don't see this being the week that he bounces back to have a strong game against another tough defense in Baltimore. He hasn't thrown past, I think, like 300 yards since week 6 against Houston, and he hasn't thrown past 160 yards since week 8. It's crazy. So he is like, it's the defenses. I don't blame Ryan Tannehill. I mean, they have an all-pro running back, so I totally get the groundwork, the run game. But I think it's going to be tough. We got to see if A.J. Brown can get some tough balls, and hopefully he goes over 100 yards today to help out Tannehill. Next up, as you were just talking about, Lions versus Panthers, I'm going to start Mike Davis here. I think he's a great running back 2 option, or if you're lucky, he's your flex guy. Much like the reason that you selected Gibson last week against Detroit, Tyler. The Lions are just so bad against the run defense. Gibson last week found the end zone twice, and I think Davis has a real shot at finding the end zone twice in this matchup too. Lions gave up an average of 31.9 fantasy points per game to running backs in half PPR formats. That ranks them dead last. So since McCaffrey's not going to be playing, are they going to do a snap share with Mike Davis in their third string? Probably not. Mike Davis is going to get the bulk of the work. If McCaffrey was playing, I could see Mike Davis, since he is sufficient with his production, I could see him taking, 5 to 10 carries from McCaffrey. But I think he's going to be the sole workhorse back in this game. So put him in your lineup. You should feel really good about him. My running back to sit, this is the first time I'm going to suggest sitting this player, is James Robinson, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense is just way too good. I think this will be James Robinson's first down week. The Steelers are a top 3 defense against running backs. Their defensive front is so freaking nasty, man. TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, Bud Dupree, they're all over the place, and they really apply pressure, and they can stop the run game pretty effectively. There have only been 2 times this season where Steelers have given up 20 fantasy points per game to running backs, only twice. So I don't think James Robinson's going to do it here. I really don't. And it's a tough call because if you have Robinson, you play him every week. Like, I totally understand that. I just think you should reevaluate and see if you have a better matchup for this particular player in position. My original wide receiver to start was Christian Kirk versus Seattle. It had a mediocre game. Honestly, the game wasn't as high scoring via passing as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a shootout, but you can blame Thursday night football games. Tyler, what I've learned is Thursday night football games for some reason are just never just absolute shootouts. I don't know why. Maybe it's the primetime nerves. Who knows? But he played okay. But I'm going to sub in some more wide receivers. I think that you should start any New Orleans Saints wide receiver against the Atlanta Falcons today. Here's why. Michael Thomas could bounce back big time here. Emmanuel Sanders, I think, is off the COVID IR list. You have Jameis Winston getting a start. Well, Taysom Hill, I don't think he's going to be the full-on QB this game. What a whack situation. Tyler, I actually read some info about it that they have to give certain bonuses, I think, based on if they start players. I don't know the whole situation, but I've read a conspiracy. That's why they're not starting Winston, is because they don't want to have to pay out a certain amount of money or something. Whatever it is, don't quote me on it. We'll have to look into it and discuss. But there's no way Taysom Hill is going to be under the gun the entire game. Winston's going to go in, throw for 300 yards, throw a couple tutties, probably about 4 interceptions, but it's going to be a great game to watch.
Brendan, real quick, are you worried about Kamara at all in that game with the quarterback situation, or you think he's good?
So I think that the Saints are telling I think they're telling Jameis Winston. I think Taysom Hill will use Kamara no matter what, because he's obviously been on the field with him. He knows he's an absolute dog. I think that they're telling Winston, like, hey, you need to use Kamara. He's your safety blanket. It's a lot different. He's a way more capable back than Winston had the past few years back in Tampa Bay. So I really don't see too much of an effect just because he's so involved in the pass game. I wouldn't be worried about him.
I watched an interesting breakdown of last week's game real quick, expand upon that. Kamara was wide open on like 6 throws, but the breakdown of the video highlighted that Jameis Winston only looks downfield. He is essentially I don't know if the guy phrased this like being rude, but he's essentially a Madden quarterback that he's going to square no matter what. That's just where he's throwing the ball before it's even snapped. And I mean, Kamara was wide open for multiple 10-plus yard gains. Never even looked at him. So
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see if the coaching staff was like, "Hey, get it to our best player."
You have to. And I'm sure much like having a set receiver to throw to in Madden, Jameis Winston seems like a guy who never punts on 4th down.
Right. Absolutely.
Very interesting you brought that up. That does worry me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But I think after a full week, like, it's obviously unexpected when a backup quarterback goes into play. It's unexpected. Even if they're prepared or whatever it is, you're never fully ready.
Yeah.
I think the Saints had to have talked to him, especially after watching tape like that, and said, dude, you got to get him the ball. He'll on a screen pass, he could take it to the yard, even with 3 defenders on him. He's so good. So I think he'll be okay. He'll probably finish a top 10 running back regardless, in my opinion.
Sure.
He's too good not to. Anyways, moving forward, wide receivers to sit. I chose any Tampa Bay wide receiver versus the Los Angeles Rams. We'll continue on. A great defense here. The Rams have arguably the best defense against wide receivers. They give up an average of 20.9 fantasy points to wide receivers, where the league average is actually 30. That's insane. So they really, really hold these wide receivers down. And also, Tampa Bay is too unpredictable. First, it was the running back room. We didn't know how they'd split with Rojo and Fournette. Now they bring in Antonio Brown. Now Godwin is partially injured, but he's back. Evans is invisible, but now he's not. Like, it's too unpredictable to call. So I really don't know what to do here, and I couldn't tell you because you'll get the start correct this week, and then you'll miss next week. So I'd probably just avoid against the tough Rams D. Moving into tight ends, Logan Thomas, tight end for the Washington football team versus Cincinnati. I don't think this will be too good of a game. I do think Cincinnati will win. Just because they have nothing to lose here, and Washington is just horrendous. But they're coming off a solid week against Detroit. Logan Thomas actually put up 4 receptions, 66 yards on 6 targets. That's, like you stated, behind the top 2 receivers or tight ends. That's a really good stat line. You know, put up 10 points in a PPR format. I'll take that any day of the week.
Huge, man. That's probably a top 5 tight end.
So if he can repeat that, I'm really intrigued by the 6 targets. I like that a lot. But if you can convert 2/3 of those, like Logan Thomas did, 4 receptions, you'll get at least 40 yards. And that's good enough in my book to fill the slot. If the Colts and Cleveland's tight ends have had a big game against Cincinnati, which they did in previous weeks, then Logan Thomas has a real shot to produce big. And by big, I mean 50 yards in the air, baby.
That's huge, man. Huge.
All right. Last but not least, the tight end I have to sit, actually, this is a little funky, is Jared Cook, tight end for New Orleans Saints versus Atlanta. Now, typically we always say start any receiver or player against the Falcons because their defense sucks. But this is why I'd really take another look here. So yes, it's a juicy matchup. However, Winston, I don't really think targets his tight ends, as we just spoke about with Kamara. I mean, he had a great tight end in O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate back in Tampa Bay. But as we all know, we all got incredibly frustrated with O.J. Howard because he was not producing at all with Jameis Winston under the gun. He was basically invisible. Remember, he got so much hype to be like the next big top 3 tight end. Like he was the sleeper pick of the year, super young, athletic, ready to just dominate. Well, the guy is a bust as of right now. And I don't think Cook will see any type of targets here. So like you said, Winston just looks downfield and he's going to toss a Hail Mary every play if he's the quarterback today.
Yeah, that's 3 things really stuck out to me, Brendan, in your breakdown here. I'm going to go back to James Robinson. Great call. That's a bad matchup. I've noticed, I don't know, again, what platform everybody out there plays on, but you can't just look at projections. Projections, quite honestly, don't mean anything. Because I noticed in our big league on ESPN, Brendan, that James Robinson was still predicted at like 17 points. I mean,
crazy.
So you would probably look at that and be like, oh, I can't sit this guy. But you got to dig a lot deeper than that when you're setting your lineup. I'm sure most people are, but don't just look at projections. They don't mean anything, literally. So great call there. The other thing you mentioned Thursday night, I've messed with you and a couple other guys in my league that I will never play another player on Thursday night ever, just because it's not worth it. They always bust. It's something crazy happens. So moving forward, if you've got guys that maybe aren't elite, don't get caught up in that it's fun to have somebody going on Thursday night, because it's usually not. Because it's usually just a disaster of a game. And lastly, I like the call on Jared Cook. I almost like the call on the entire offense. If hypothetically, if Taysom Hill is their quarterback today, there is no chance that guy throws the ball more than 15 times.
Twice.
They're not gonna. They're not gonna. I mean, if he is their quarterback today, that game is gonna be really ugly. So even with Kamara, if Taysom Hill is under center all game, all he's going to do is run. All he's going to do is wildcat. I mean, anybody on that offense today is incredibly risky based on the start of Taysom Hill. So, I think that one's up in the air, but I like the call on, I own Kamara. He's the only guy on that offense I would feel comfortable rolling today, period. I think you got to roll Thomas because he's bound to get back up to speed. But again, I'm with you. I don't buy that Taysom Hill is going to play every snap in this game.
I don't either.
If he does, it's going to be ugly for everybody on that offense.
And so let me rephrase. Yeah, let me rephrase it. That's a great point. If Taysom Hill is going to be the full-on QB today, I probably wouldn't start any of the wide receivers. If we see Jameis Winston, which I'm predicting, again, for some reason I thought I saw some financial situation, but don't quote me on that. Please don't. I don't want to give false info here. But if we see Winston come in the game, then there's no doubt about it that he's going to air the ball. I don't think he listens to coaches to begin with. I'm not going to lie. I think he just chucks it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you. I think there's going to be some kind of combo. I think Hill will see more snaps than he normally would, but there is no chance Taysom Hill plays every snap in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Payton cannot think that's a good idea.
I agree. To be safe, just put Taysom Hill in your tight end slot. I know a lot of platforms allow that, so that'd be a great tight end start this week. So
yeah, cool. You do have a chance to have the best tight end this week in Hill, because if he does come out and play 50% of the snaps on quarterback, the guy's got to put up points.
When was the last time a tight end took a direct snap?
I think Kelsey's done it a few times recently. He does the wildcat every now and then. But,
good.
I'm just, again, even as a Kamara owner, man, I don't feel great about rolling him, but you're not going to sit Kamara. But this game has a chance to be really ugly, in my opinion.
Well, cool, Tyler. I'm excited to see how the day goes. We'll touch base obviously on Wednesday and kind of get a feel for what happened, because it looks like Drew Brees is going to be out for quite some time, because I think he has a total of like 11 rib fractures, like 7 on one side, 4 on the other, something like that. He's on the IR. So today will really be a great day to see what the Saints do moving forward. But Tyler, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else you want to say before we prepare to watch football all day?
Yeah, just to elaborate on that just a tiny bit. Good call, man. It's hard to say what the Saints' assets look like moving forward. I think they're still going to be fine because I'm with you. I think Winston is their quarterback. He's going to throw 800 interceptions, but that doesn't matter. He's going to throw the ball 70 times a game. And yeah, just to go back to Breeze, man, that's insane what came out about him in the news. And you rewind last week when he was standing on the sideline. Dude didn't even look like he was in pain. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? He had to have felt awful, and he's just standing there like it's no big deal.
With his helmet on. I thought he was
Yeah,
going to go back in.
I'm
It
sure
looked
he
like he was
wanted
trying
to.
to. Yeah.
I'm sure he wanted to, but it's just we've spoke about it before, man. Pro athletes are just built so differently. I
Mhm.
played college hockey, and I took one really nasty hit that I really could have got hurt pretty severely on, and that was about good for me. Whereas these guys have their leg hanging on by a thread, or 40 broken ribs, and just kind of, yeah, I'll keep going.
A
It's
torn
just,
ACL in a basketball game in the championship, and Klay
yeah,
Thompson.
yeah. They're just built different. They're just, this is what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a great week ahead of us. Thank you to everyone tuning in. We're excited to do these on Sundays for y'all. So if you have any questions, you can find us on Twitter at Halfback Dynasty. You can find us on Instagram at Halfback Dynasty. Heck, you can shoot us an email. We're at halfbackdynasty@gmail.com. Of course, Tyler, we got to plug our homies at dynastyleaguefootball.com, DLF. What's your username?
I'm Gator Sense.
The legendary Gator Sends. I'm McCaffstees. You can go ahead and join us on that website. It's a great platform for Dynasty football owners to just talk openly, get advice, talk about waiver pickups and everything like that. But thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoy your Sunday, and good luck today. We hope your team wins. Stay smooth, and remember, you're in this for life.